afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. This is Newsfeed on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Commission on Elections Chief George Garcia links the country's previous poll service provider, Smartmatic, to the bribery allegations against him. Garcia also plans to take his accusers to court. We have more from Agatha Gregorio.
Embattled Elections Chairman George Garcia sees a possible connection between allegations of corruption against him and the country's former poll service provider. Garcia is accused of owning 51 offshore bank accounts. At a press conference on Thursday, Garcia showed media what appears to be a trail of evidence pointing to who could be behind the allegation. Documents show that the money deposited to two of the accounts came from a firm called Haleo Consulting LLC, owned by Juan Jose Herrera, the same Jose Herrera who is the director of Albatross Technologies Corporation. Albatross Technologies, Garcia says, has the same address as Smartmatic.
Sana po masagot itong katanungan ko pong ito. Wala po akong ibinibintang. Bakit po ba naman ang address ng Barbados, address sa Barbados, ang address na number 26 ng company na sinasabi ko ay parehas sa address ng company na dati nating provider. Ayaw kong ako magawa ng konklusyon.
Garcia also called this a direct intervention on the elections by a foreign entity.
Haleo Consulting LLC ang nagpadala. Alam niyo po, nung makita ko po yan, ako po'y kinilabutan. This is direct intervention sa eleksyon ng Pilipinas ng isang foreign entity. Kahit pa sabihin niyo, hindi araw ng eleksyon, komisyon ng eleksyon, ang pinuno nito ang inaakusahan.
The poll chief says once he receives the results of the National Bureau of Investigation and the Anti-Money Laundering Council's probe, he will file an ethics complaint against a certain congressman. He did not name the lawmaker, but it was Sagip party list representative Rodante Marcoleta who first came out in media with the allegation.
Okay, kung meron siyang ground na mag-file ng ethics complaint, kung palagay niya tama yung gagawin niya, we are in a democracy. Why don't he do it? Kasalanan ba yung nakakita ko ng paraan para lamang ma-prove natin na merong account?
Garcia also showed certifications from 6 local banks saying the accounts are fake. Banks from South Korea and the Cayman Islands have also said the same thing. He says he's also received information that someone is spreading documents linking him to the accounts in Congress. He now calls on leaders of both chambers to be careful.
Na sana po, huwag tayong papayag na ang ating pong mga opisina at mga institusyon ay magagamit upang maghasik ng mga kasinungalingan, magbintang sa mga tao at manira ng puri ng iba.
The poll chair also raises the matter to the president.
Ako po'y nakikiusap, humihingi ng tulong sa ating kagalang-galang na Pangulo, Ferdinand R. Marcos. Ang inyong lingkod ay natalaga dito sa Comelec. Isa lang po ang aking palagay na instruction ninyo at yan po'y ayusin ang Commission on Elections. Ayusin ang pangalan ng Comelec, ibalik ang tiwala ng sambayanan. Sana po matulungan tayo na yung mga gantong tao, entities, hindi makapamayagpag sa ating pong lipunan.
Agatha Gregorio, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Bilyonaryo News Channel is trying to reach Smartmatic for comments. Former Commission on Elections Chairman Andy Bautista is indicted in the U.S. for allegedly taking bribes to favor an election technology provider during the 2016 polls. The U.S. Justice Department says Bautista and 3 executives of a voting machine company were charged for their roles in an alleged bribery and money laundering scheme. While the U.S. Justice Department did not identify the name of the company involved, one of the 3 executives, Roger Alejandro Martinez, is a co-founder of Smartmatic. The indictment says between the years 2015 and 2018, at least $1 million in bribes was paid out to Bautista in order for the company to retain business related to the 2016 Philippine elections. Bautista faces 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering and 3 counts of international money laundering or laundering of monetary instruments. Back in 2016, he awarded Smartmatic a nearly $200 million contract to supply 94,000 voting machines. Following the controversy, the Comelec banned Smartmatic from bidding on election contracts last year, but the Philippine Supreme Court overturned that ban last April. Manila 3rd District Representative Joel Chua calls on colleagues not to give Vice President Sara Duterte a free pass in the deliberation of her office's budget. Chua made the statement after VP Sara's open letter last Wednesday, criticizing the administration and saying the people deserve better. Congressman Chua says no more and never again shall the VP not be held to the same level of scrutiny as other public officials during the budget hearing. The OVP under Duterte breezed through congressional budget deliberations since 2022, citing courtesy to the second highest office in the land. The Philippine National Police is ready to foil any attempt by Pastor Apollo Quiboloy to escape, even by air. Police officials say they can intercept Quiboloy in case he flees using his private plane or helicopter. Police believe Quiboloy is still in his Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound in Davao. The fugitive has 4 choppers and 2 planes and even a private taxiway leading to the Davao International Airport.
Ano pa mga ways na ginagawa to prevent that? Nandun na may mga assets sila, may mga air assets sila.
Meron naman tayong air unit. Ang air unit naman natin, armed naman ang ating helicopter. Worst comes to worst, they can try the might of the government.
Senator Hontiveros says fugitive Pastor Apollo Quiboloy deserves the freeze order on his assets. The Court of Appeals yesterday granted the AMLAC request to freeze several assets of Quiboloy and 9 of his associates. Hontiveros in a statement thanks AMLAC and hopes the freezing of Quiboloy's assets will also freeze his ability to escape. She believes the freeze order ends what she calls Quiboloy's greed. Quiboloy has a pending warrant of arrest for child abuse, sexual abuse, and human trafficking. 12 firefighters are injured in a fire that started this morning in Tondo, Manila. On site is Abante radio reporter Andrea Salve, and she joins us now on the line for updates. Andrea.
10 male and 2 female fire volunteers were rushed to the hospital after sustaining minor burns while responding to a fire at Guidote Street, Barangay 132, Tondo, Manila. The fire, which involves a 4-story structure, was initially reported at 7:51 p.m. on Thursday, and 16 hours later, as of this time, it is still on second alarm. According to the Bureau of Fire Protection, the building serves as both a warehouse of flammable materials and hardware tools, while also housing several employees on both 3rd and 4th floors. In an interview, one of the stay-in employees named Vicente Garcia said the fire started on the 2nd floor when a co-worker heard an explosion from an unknown source that is yet to be determined by authorities. Initial report also said that the estimated cost of damages is around 19.9 million pesos. As of this time, rain has stopped pouring in the area, and compared to its situation a few hours ago, firefighters are still inside the building, and I no longer see any blazing fire, but the building still continues to emit thick white smoke. This is Andrea Salve from DWAR Abante Radio reporting for Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Thank you, Andrea Salve, reporting. Some good news for motorists. A big-time oil price rollback is seen next week. Gasoline prices may see the biggest cut of up to 2 pesos and 50 centavos per liter. Kerosene prices also going down by about 2 pesos and 40 centavos. Diesel prices to be slashed by around 2 pesos and 10 centavos per liter. The Energy Department cites a weaker oil demand, especially in China, and a stronger peso as reasons for the rollback. The Philippine economy is once again among the fastest in the ASEAN region, according to Finance Chief Ralph Recto. His statement comes as the country posted a 6.3% growth in the second quarter this year, beating Malaysia's 5.8% and Indonesia's 5%. Leading drivers include spending on public infrastructure projects. Recto says he expects the economy to further improve for the rest of the year, as the government is doing everything it can to keep inflation at bay. Economic managers paint a rosy picture following positive economic figures for the second quarter, but one economist says government should pay more attention to food and agriculture to sustain economic growth. Beatriz de la Cruz reports.
The country grew in the second quarter despite inflationary pressures and the impact of El Nino on consumer spending, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. The country's gross domestic product or GDP rose to 6.3% year-on-year.
Ang mga sektor na may pinakamalaking kontribusyon sa pagtaas ng GDP sa ikalawang quarter ng taong 2024 ay ang mga sumusunod. Construction na nag-ambag ng 1.3 percentage points. Wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles na nag-ambag ng 1.0 percentage point at financial and insurance activities na nag-ambag ng 0.8 percentage point.
National Economic and Development Authority Secretary Arsenio Balisacan says the country is on track to achieve the target growth of 6% to 7% for 2024 and sustains the country's position as one of Asia's best-performing emerging economies. MAPA meanwhile notes the continuous decline in the agricultural sector as a result of the El Nino.
Ang agriculture, forestry, and fishing ay nagtala ng pagbaba na 2.3%.
Security Bank Senior Assistant Vice President and Chief Economist Dan Rosas also points out the struggles in the agriculture sector might be getting worse.
It has been contracting for 3 consecutive quarters, with a decline accelerating this second quarter at negative 1.6%. So this indicates challenges in food production and also rural economic activities.
Rice production has been front and center of problems in agriculture. Executive Order 62, which reduces tariff on imported rice to encourage lower retail prices, is threatening local producers.
By ensuring that we are monitoring, periodically reviewing the sector every 4 months and recommend to the government actions, including reversal of the tariff if that's required, to ensure that farm gate prices are not adversely affected.
Rosa says the only way to resolve the problems in agriculture is to double efforts to help the sector.
We also have to probably ramp up our support for the agriculture sector. It's been the worst performing sector, I think, in the past 2 years now. So it has been a negative growth. So we need that support there. So if you double that up with a very good standing of our services sector, meaning the BPO, so that should probably translate into a growth that's being felt by everyone.
Bea de la Cruz, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Hundreds of people stranded for almost 2 days in their vehicles as protesting farmers blocked a major highway in Mexico City. The protesters were demanding compensation for the land bought by the government 60 years ago to build the road. The farmers warn they won't lift the blockade until their demands are met. Over in London, Taylor Swift fans are trying to shake the fear off as the global pop superstar returns to Wembley. Swift will be in London next week for 5 more sold-out nights of her Eras tour in the wake of the foiled terror attack in Vienna. U.S. officials are trying to soothe fears, saying there is no indication the terror threat in Vienna will have any impact on the Wembley shows.
I was panicking a little bit. We did consider selling our tickets, but I think we took a few hours, we calmed down, we saw what the statements were that were being put out, and I think we're now feeling good about going again.
I've been to the concert already. I couldn't imagine if it's their first Taylor concert, it must have been devastating. But at the same time, I'm so glad they found out before everything had happened. So if Ariana situation doesn't happen again, because obviously no one wants to go to a concert with risk of losing their lives.
And those are the news this hour. I'm Maya Rodriguez. Stay tuned to BNC for more top-of-the-hour news on Free TV Channel 31 and also on our website, bnc.ph. Bilyonaryo News Channel, always on top. Good afternoon.